Hello YouTube and fellow resellers, my name's Kevin, the Stoic Reseller. I'm back with another video. This one is a little bit different than anything I've ever done before. It's something very insightful, and I hope the topic really brings out some additional thought process, some creativity, and just overall makes you reimagine the way we do business on eBay. If you're new here, I buy new and used clothing. I sell it on eBay and Poshmark. I personally run it as a part-time operation, but the business generates a full-time income simply because my wife works to do basically the other half of the business that I can't do because I work a full-time job. If you're into this content, you're into data-driven results, statistics, everything like that, please hit that subscribe button, like it, comment down below with anything, any question you may have, and let's jump right into the topic. The topic is reimagining how we view the inventory and the way we operate our business currently, okay? This stems from a few different things I've been seeing recently. I've been listening to a certain book that made me reimagine the way I'm looking at how my business is run and how I buy things. Also, I've seen some YouTubers. I've seen a lot of conversation again about how eBay is this, how eBay is that. I've seen a lot of conversation about, you should do this, you should do that. And at the end of the day, I really want to bring something together and give you something that you really should think about. Do not click away. This is very important that you listen to this, okay? The topic is reimagining how you view your current inventory. Every time you go to buy something, think of it this way. Will this item be an asset or a liability? Now you may think, okay, the traditional definitions of both of those don't really fit into the category of reselling, right? So if I was to buy, and it's not even if I was to buy, I bought this, okay? My average cost of goods is $9.50. So I bought this FootJoy pullover, long sleeve, quarter zip or half zip, however you want to announce that. It's a 3XL, so it's a very important size, okay? The important thing about this is, if you bought this at the thrift store, did you buy it because you looked it up and saw the sell-through rate? Or did you buy it because you know FootJoy and the fact that 3XL is a good size? Okay, those are the factors I guarantee you thought about, right? Whatever item you are buying, you're thinking of those as those factors alone, and you're not thinking of the item as an asset or a liability. So let me give you the definition of what an asset is. An asset is something that you own, that does not depreciate, that generates wealth or growth, and provides an income. Otherwise, to keep it simple, using KISS, the fourth word in that, it's something that will put money into your pocket, okay? A liability, in the general sense of the term, a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Debt, okay? Any form of debt is typically a liability. Your car is a liability. It depreciates over time, and you typically have a loan on it if you're something like 90% of Americans. Your home is considered a liability because it doesn't generate income. You pay taxes on it every so often, every 6 months, year, quarterly, right? Also, you may have a mortgage. Also, there's maintenance costs, so there's a liability. However, that one's a little different because it does appreciate in value, creating net worth. But it's still a liability because it actively takes money out of your pocket. Now, taking those terms, we can rephrase those slightly to fit the terms of reselling, okay? What I'm trying to get at, guys, is, and this is a very, very, very touchy subject, and I get it, and it's something that I know people are not going to agree with, and I know people are going to roast me in the comments. I know people are not going to receive this overly positive, but I want you guys to, before you click off, before you write that nasty comment, before you thumbs down, I really want you to use your brain. Actively think of it in a different perspective, okay? So, as I mentioned before, you found this item, you looked up the sold comps, right? You looked up how much you can get for it, you looked at the sold comps, and then which gave you the sell-through rate. And to me, and the way I'm going to start viewing this stuff going forward, An asset in terms of my inventory is an item that will sell within 90 days. That is an asset that will generate income for the business. Okay. Now, typically, in the most basic of terms, all of our inventory can be considered an asset, right? Because it will eventually sell and we will eventually get a monetary gain from that item. However, say you buy this Ritz Safe cooling towel. You spent $5 and you saw that one of these sold for 25 bucks. And you're like, great, I'll buy it for 5, flip it into 25. Okay? What you're maybe not taking into consideration, and I guarantee you this exists because people have well documented. There are prominent resellers on YouTube that actively show you listings that do not have a great sell-through rate, that have over a year sell-through rate. Okay? Something like that has a terrible sell-through rate. Do you want to know why? Because $25 is too much. You could actively buy that right now for $10 at any store. With that said, if I bought that for 5 and listed it for 25, it's going to take a generation to sell. That item is now considered a liability. Now you might think, okay, well, a liability takes money out of my pocket. So Stoic, what do you mean by that? I mean that this item that you spent $5 on is one, not generating you income. Okay? For every month past 90 days that this sits in your inventory, it is losing you money. Right? Think about it. You spent $5 on it. What could you spend $5 on? So you go to the thrift store. Right? And say you have a budget. And you spend that budget, but then you find another item that you want to buy and it's $5, but you don't have that $5. You want to know why? Because that $5 is locked into an item that is still going to be sitting in your inventory 6 months from now. That is a liability because you're no longer generating income from it. And then you also have to put it into perspective, right? Every month that it sits in your eBay store, it gets relisted. And if you're trying to keep your eBay fees to a minimum, that means you probably have the basic store subscription, which now it's counting towards your basic store listings for every month. Okay? On top of that, it's now taking space in your inventory system, which will eventually cost you money because at some point you will grow to the point where you need more space to store your items, right? That is what a growing business will do over time. Lastly, guys, this item is doing nothing for you. At some point, most of us will discount our items a percentage. If it's, say, for me, any item that's over 90 days old, I discount by 10% and then 5% and 5% and 5% until it eventually sells, right? Most people probably have a more aggressive manner of addressing this. So say at some point, I discount this so far that it's at my buy cost now, plus shipping. At that point, I've lost money. And it probably will sell for $5 plus shipping or less than that. Someone send me maybe an offer of $3. At $3, I have now lost eBay fees. I've lost $2 right off the top. And I now have to ship the damn thing. So I have to spend my time and effort and wasted that money, wasted that time. When you go and pick up every item at the thrift store, think of it, is this going to be an asset or will this be a liability? Because that's honestly how we need to rephrase how we do business on eBay. Now, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about why it is that us as resellers would buy liabilities, right? In general, we don't want to buy low sell-through rate items, correct? I know there's people out here that will propagate that, hey, if you build your store big enough with low sell-through rate items, that low sell-through rate eventually gets overcome with the fact that I have 80,000 items in my store. It's good and dandy. But the fact of the matter is, most of us, if not all of us, if you're new within a couple years of this, you're not able to sit on a buy cost of an item, regardless of what it is, for more than 90 days before you start having regrets of buying that item, okay? There are people that will sit there and list 100 to 200 items per day and sell 10 items, okay? will sell 20 items out of that 100 at a 20% sell-through rate. At some point, you have to have a value. You as an individual have to have a value, okay? So when we start thinking of our inventory in terms of assets and liabilities, we might start to question our ability, right? We might start questioning, well, shit, why did I buy this stuff? Well, that's okay, because it falls into the category of why do resellers buy liabilities, okay? And this is something that I've asked myself. I make mistakes every single day that I thrift. I buy an item, I guarantee you, out of the 185 items I sourced last weekend, 20 of those items will probably still be in my inventory 6 months from now. Why is that? Because we buy things with the mentality that eventually this will sell. Eventually, that will turn a profit. Okay? That is the mindset of, I guarantee you, 99% of you guys. All right? Whether or not you pay attention to sell-through rate or not, it's the mindset of all of us. Hey, this item has low sales velocity, but sells for $90. There's 5 of them listed, 2 of them sold. I want to buy this because it's $10 and I can make $90. We need to start looking at that from a different perspective. That $10 could be used to buy 2 items that turn into 4 items that turn into 8 items, and so on and so forth. And by the time that $90 item sells, guess what? You could be sitting on 36 more items. You could be sitting on an entire store worth of items by the time that $10 item turns into 90. And it may not even be 90 at that point. You probably discounted it. You've sent an offer. Maybe you took 50 for it. That's a liability, guys, because that item has reduced your ability to propagate more items. That's why resellers buy liabilities, though. We all do it. Think of it this way. If you are complaining right now, think of it this way. If you are complaining or you're frustrated, let's take complaining out of the question, right? If you're frustrated that eBay is not giving you traffic, eBay is not, you're not selling anything, it's been days, months, whatever the case may be, and I'm not trying to put you down, I'm not trying to say anything. That's a different conversation for a different story for a different day. The fact of the matter is, look at your inventory and how many of them have a 90-day sell-through rate of 80% or higher, and how many have below 80% sell-through rate on a 90-day cycle. And then come back and have that same conversation with yourself in the mirror. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Self-reflect. Okay? If I bought this thing expecting it to sell for $25, and I'm now sitting at my desk going, this is the 3rd day in a row of no sales on eBay. My page views are dwindling. I'm promoting at 30%. Nothing's happening. Why did you buy that item at $5 if one sold in the last 90 days? But there's multiples listed. That's a liability. We buy this stuff because we see the shiny dollar amount, right? The temptation. It's a temptation, right? It's like cars, okay? We all want a new car. We want the fastest model. We want the new electric car. We want the Tesla. We want the Cybertruck. We want all the new fancy shit. Everyone wants it, right? There's the temptation there. We have to start resisting the temptation by looking at what we are doing and determining if that item will be an asset to the business or a liability. And that means, is that asset, meaning it's going to sell within 90 days, or is it a liability where I'm going to potentially lose money with this item because it's going to sit there and collect dust? That's the conversation we need to have, guys. And I know there's some of you that are sitting there thinking, it's not my items, Stoic. People are on here, and I love a lot of you guys. I really appreciate all the input I've received over the last year. But there's a reason I've been taking longer breaks. And this video, the book I'm reading, has opened my mind, as I hope this conversation opens your mind. Why don't we try to be more positive in the way we think? Okay? The last 5 weeks, I've only produced 3 videos. And I've contemplated leaving YouTube. And it's because I'm trying to get my mind right. I'm trying to be more positive, have a positive impact on myself, my family, my job, my reselling career. And that's part of this. That is part of this. This is me acknowledging the fact that I need to take ownership of my business. That I need to make my business, the items I buy, work as an asset, put money in my family's pockets, and not sit in the shelf. Let that sink in, guys. I want every one of you to self-reflect. Think about that. Okay? The next thing we want to talk about when determining and looking at our business as an asset or liability is we've all done this for a reason, right? And we have to think about it from the perspective of, why did we do this? Why did we start this maddening quest to make money on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, wherever the heck you're selling? It could be the flea market down the street. It could be in your mother's basement. It could be at the hobo's toilet down the street. I don't know. You're selling shit. Could be great. Could be not. At the end of the day, why the hell did we do this? Because I'll tell you, sometimes I think of it like, shit, why am I doing this? Why am I sacrificing all this time, this effort, all of this to just be frustrated some days, to be happy some days, to do all this work? Because we all have a reason. We all have a reason. That reason is only you can determine that. For me, it's because I want to be out of debt. I want to start transitioning this business into actual assets, to the point where I am now going to take my efforts and replace those efforts with things that are going to generate the same amount of income with no effort. That's the name of the game. That is the goal for myself. And I have a 10-year goal, a 2-year goal to get out of debt, 10-year goal to have 2 to 3 assets by the end of 10 years that generate more income than I'm making currently. And by 20 years, when I'm 55, I am going to retire my family, basically my wife and I, and we're going to just live. We're just going to have an enjoyable time where we don't have to worry about money. That's my goal. It does not come from a place of greed. It does not come from a place of narcissism. It literally is just, I don't want to worry about money. I'm tired of going to work every day. I'm tired of dealing with bosses, people up higher ups, tired of debt. I'm tired of making other people rich. It's time to start thinking about how you can make yourself wealthy. Okay? And that does not include liabilities. Wealth is the opposite of liability. Please keep that in mind. If you're still here in this video, I really want to thank you. I want to remind you to please hit that like, subscribe. It's free, no cost. I'm really trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. You will see more videos coming out. I have a new passion for these videos. I'm trying to do something different than what other people are doing. This video is an example of that, where this kind of conversation doesn't exist. There are conversations similar, but this conversation doesn't exist. So I hope that this video really opened your mind to start thinking about the items you're buying, the conversations you're having with yourself, the conversations you're having on the internet, to really start taking ownership of this that you control, okay? And I really do understand that there are things beyond our control, but there are things within our control that can limit the negatives that are outside of our control. And so I hope that this opened your mind, at least hopefully makes you rethink what is going on with what you're doing. Make you rethink the inventory you are buying as a liability or an asset. Because at the end of the day, poor people have more liabilities than assets. Wealthy people have assets over liabilities. And those assets allow them to enjoy life, to get rid of that 9 to 5, to get rid of the constant sourcing, the constant struggle, as we all should be doing. And I leave you with this. The last thing I really want you guys to probably think about is if you're struggling on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, wherever you are selling, think of, do you enjoy what you are doing? Because that's the end game too. That is the second end game, right? The first end game is to get wealthy. And that, like I said, that doesn't come from a place of greed. That comes from a place of just wanting to be free. I want to be free. I want to know what it feels like to not wake up, have to rush to work, have to worry about if a bill gets paid or not. That has to be so liberating. The second end game is to be doing something I enjoy. And mind you, I thoroughly enjoy sourcing clothing, reselling clothing online. This is a passion. It has turned into that. This isn't a job. When I do this, I sacrifice a lot of time, but it is enjoyable, okay? I don't get burned out easily doing this, okay? So for what I want you guys to think of is the items that you're selling, if you're having a tough time, is it something that you actually enjoy doing? And I'm not telling you to quit reselling. I'm telling you to find something that you are passionate about, that you can resell, that you can expand upon and grow and get to that end goal that you have decided is worth it for you to sacrifice time, effort, and everything else. That's the last thing I want to leave you guys with. So, again, my name is Kevin, the Stoic Reseller. I appreciate you watching to the end. Please remember, like, subscribe, comment below. And until my next video, guys, please remember to rule the day.